Here's my voice guide for Ascent. So we're going to start off with B defense first. So with the razor vines, we want to make sure that we're placing them kind of sneakily because they can get detected. So stuff like placing it in the corner or placing them in walls like this is going to be the way to go. You can even do them a bit further out from the choke point so the edge still hits the choke point. But they won't be immediately detectable from people in main. So these are like some examples, but there are some ones that I really like, such as these ones. So you go to this wall, and you go to this. You look at this corner here. You line up like this, and then you go to this corner here, and you aim at this brick. Sometimes I do get this one wrong. I don't know how I manage it, but sometimes, like 99% of the time, it works, and 1% of the time it doesn't. So just bear that in mind. But yeah, these razor vines are really, really good. They're also really good in combination with one of the shears I want to show, because it's actually quite important that we slow people down on lane with that shear. So I want to talk about that very, very soon. Another razor vine that we want to talk about is this one. And this one's really, really good because if you know the jet likes to dash out to the switch, then this razor vine will actually guarantee that there will be a point in time where they're out in the open without any smokes in the razor vine, because the razor vine lasts longer than the jet smokes do. So you can basically guarantee like a 1v1 against someone in a disadvantaged state over here, which is really, really good. So I'll talk about this shear next, because that's pretty much all I've got for the razor vines on defense on B. So the shear, this is the most common shear I've seen on Ascent B, and it's kind of like a double-edged sword. It's definitely more advantageous than a problem, but it can be a problem if we're not playing around it correctly. So what happens when someone goes through? Obviously it goes up, and the rest of their team can now go lane for free. So it's important that we delay the people on lane, because the person that's playing backside, either you or probably a Sova or something, they're going to have a struggle on lane against like 2 or 3 players that get there for free, right? They don't get spammed. They can technically get spammed through this wall, but it's a lot more unlikely and a lot less pressure than if the wall wasn't there, right? So I'm going to talk about this side first, actually. So on this side, the jet comes through, and we most likely get the kill on her. This is going to be a 1v1 or a 2v1 potentially if you have someone mark it or something, or like if you have a mid player. Then you probably get this kill, and then you can come and help your teammate on stairs, right? Because this wall is still probably going to be up, and you can just run it here for free because no one else is in this area able to fight you, and you can help your teammate backside. Sometimes you might get 2 players come through as well. That's fairly unlikely in solo queue, especially the lower you go. With the higher you go, you will get 2 people coming through. Sometimes like the Phoenix likes to path like this or whatever with a wall or something. That can also happen and be very, very annoying to deal with, especially if it happens at the same time as a jet dash, which means there's 2 people out in this area, and it can be more like a 2v2, which is a lot more losable. You want to be very careful with like how you actually play this one out. Ideally, you want to be decently fast at getting this kill if you know it's just one person, because it means you can help the person backside. You can delay the people on lane with the razor vines we already talked about. I won't delay this again, but this is where they land. And yeah, so you can delay these people from fighting the backside. So these razor vines are quite important with this shear. Ideally, because you just want to be delaying their team. Okay, so the next shear I'm going to talk about is this one. There's like a bad version of this shear and a good version of this shear. This is the bad version. The reason why this is the bad version is because it gets detonated by the jet dash that dashes out, and then she can actually just sit in this corner, and she's actually behind an indestructible wall now, and she can't get wallbanged by anyone aside from someone here. That's the only person you get wallbanged by. So it's really difficult to justify this wall, because she can basically get away for free while this wall is up, and then she can even save one of her smokes to get away after the wall goes down. So it is really, really difficult to justify this one. So if you want to have one that stops people from going lane after one person has gone lane, you'll have to do this one, which looks kind of weird, but at the same time it's definitely the best one for stopping multiple people from going into lane. So that's kind of one of the shear I like, and also one of the ones I made kind of like a mistake of making a couple times. One shear I do like though is this one, and this one is actually in combination with a couple of things. So I like a razor vine in this corner when I do this one, and I also like a flash in this part of the wall. You can place it off the angle as well, so you don't have to be on the angle when the run starts. But yeah, this is what I like. This is like a setup that I actually quite like on VYSE in this area. So when the enemy team kind of runs up here, right, if they know this thing is here, they can bait it, right? It's actually quite easy to bait. As long as, like, they want to be careful if someone mark it, but for the most part, they should be fine baiting this, right? If they don't bait it and someone comes through, we can flash Razor Vine, and then they're probably a free kill isolated. If they just did the fake, right? They just, like, jump spotted it. This flash, I can detonate. I don't know if someone is on that side, or if I know they just faked it, right? I can tell which one it is because this flash gives you info. And you can see as well that this flash does not hit anyone on this side of the wall. If it will hit someone here, potentially. But the thing is that the wall goes up and it actually blocks this flash. So it doesn't actually happen. No one actually can get flashed if they're not on that side of the wall. Which is actually really strong, I think. Because it makes a kind of like little trap play that you can kind of like guarantee someone is trapped or not. Which is really, really strong. And also very akin to like a Killjoy turret going here. In the way that you'll get early info from this shear. So I do kind of like this shear. I think it's not one you do very much though. You do it like once or twice a game. Or half. But yeah, for the most part, I think it's quite good. And next we'll talk about the flashes. You know one flash though, sometimes you can do this one by itself. Because what will happen is, even though it is available, like able to be seen here, it's very unlikely. So first of all, people are going to be like against this back wall. So actually maybe someone will see it when they clear this potentially. But I haven't had it happen yet. So maybe you should just put it on this one just to potentially alleviate that if you're not doing the trap play. But for the most part, it's been fine for me so far, to be honest. Because actually, maybe it's been like this and they just haven't seen it. Maybe that's probably what it is. And basically, they won't see it because they won't be facing it. Basically, when they're over here, they'll be looking at other areas. Why would they be looking randomly over here? And even though it won't flash them, what it will do is it will reveal them. So it will show that they are there. You'll get the actual like sound of them being revealed by the flash. So it's a good way to kind of get some info in deep A main, also deep B main, without kind of like getting like too much info that they could be like over here, for instance, or over here. Like you are getting info that they're actually like close to the A main doorway, or the B main doorway. Sorry, I don't know what to say. I mean, but yeah, that's kind of it for the util. Ult is used kind of like as a keep off me kind of tool, where it's very, very similar to Killjoy, but a lot faster than Killjoy. So it's overall less susceptible to intense aggression. So I think the ult is actually really good just to say, like, get off me. Like, go away. I don't want you to be here anymore. I don't want you to attack me. So that can actually work really, really well. Make sure you save it for when they're actually coming out, because this ult does go off quite fast. You don't have to, like, preemptively do it like a Killjoy or something. Even then, preemptively doing Killjoy ults is a bad idea anyway. But yeah, for the most part, the ult is quite strong at basically saying, keep off me. Next is mid. I do one thing in mid, and that's if we don't have a sentinel. Sometimes I will put my wall here, but for the most part, I want to be very clear that this wall is much more important to use in a trap play because it gets you a kill and can also influence like the execute of the round, right, for the enemy team. This is just purely for info, very unlikely to get a kill in itself, because very rarely will it lead to a kill from someone like watching it, basically, because for the most part the reason why it's here is because no one's watching it. So I would not place the wall like this very often. It's very, very situationally that you want to place the wall there. Next is A. And on A, I do have a Razor Vine for short, but other than that, I don't have much for short. This Razor Vine in the corner stops them from coming out. It's really hard to shoot and detonate beforehand because they can't wallbang this. But they can hear it on this side of the wall, but they can't actually wallbang it or anything, so it's pretty much guaranteed to go off. You can technically do walls here. I don't really think there's any good walls here, personally. Well, I'm going maybe this one.
All set.
Oh, not quite. If you got like into the corner maybe or something, but like and stop people from walking through here, that could be quite good. But no, it's not. Okay, so next is A. I don't know. I do have some Razor Vines. I want to bear in mind as well that this Razor Vine unfortunately does not work, which is kind of sad. I was going to make a lineup for it, but because it doesn't work, I can't do it. Both my normal Razor Vines are actually here and here.
Launching thorns.
The reason why they're like this is because I do a shear like this.
Placing wall trap.
Actually, no, not quite like that, sorry. I do it like this.
Wall set.
Because what happens is it's hard for the enemy team to detect before you actually go out. It's a bit here, they'll detect it. And on this side, it's a bit here, they'll detect it. A bit here. So it's a bit further into main. And so the jet will probably be dashing out by the time they see it. And at that point, I can start to, like, either go for the jet in a 1v1, or delay them. So this Razor Vine is one that I'll use afterwards. if the razor vine, sorry, if the jet dash is out, you can have a razor vine here as well. If you use it very often, you can have this. I generally don't place this one though. I generally just place these two. So this one, what this one does is it stops the enemy team from walking out into this little cubby while the wall is up. It also, if I do detonate it like a bit later on, after the wall has like gone up for like 2 seconds or something, it also stops them from like walking out, like running out with the razor vine on the left side of the wall. When the wall goes down, I actually use this razor vine after the wall goes down instead of like as it goes up, because what's the point really? No one's really going to be there unless it's like a phoenix that's ran to switch or something. Basically, as long as I know that no one has run out to switch when the wall goes up, I can save this for when the wall goes down and further delay them to get the switch, which means that this player over here is going to have a lot better time spraying people through the smoke that's inevitably going to be there. So it's going to be really, really good. I really like this setup so far. It's pretty much the only setup I've got on A though, so maybe I'm just like stupid because I don't know better setups. But yeah, that's like the setup I have for A. With the flashes, you can pretty much place them anywhere you want to. But for the most part, general rule of thumb is place them high on walls, in a place where they're going to get where they're going to get value, where they're going to get flashes. I also didn't mention as well on B. I actually did not talk about the flash at all. So really quickly, going to go back to B and talk about the flash, because that's all the flash is on A, and the ult is the same on A. You're just going to use it as a keep off me button when they actually come out, to sort of like say like you've got a disadvantage now that you're executing. And on B with the flashes, real quick, because I'm stupid. You can place them high on walls. This works. And you can do it on giraffe as well. The most important part about the flashes on A or B or whatever you're placing them is to place them high and to place them in mixed up positions so they're not easy to pre-fire for the enemy team. Very similar to breach flash in that sense, where you want to kind of mix up where they are on the wall. For retake on A, we want to be using the flashes to get value, so you can place them like this, for instance, to get value in like understanding where the enemy team are, like info. Over here as well is the same. I thought for a second there I like bugged it out, but okay, I didn't actually. I didn't expect that to happen like that. But yeah, that's pretty cool. It's actually pretty good one to get info. Also razor vines as well in positions that people like to play, like near gen. And that kind of stuff to kind of keep people in those areas, like on VYSE as well. Maybe you can wallbang this person. Also over here on this area here, I think people call maybe call this fridge or something. I don't know, big box, tall box. And you can detonate it and then wallbang, because if someone is there, they're either forced to run through the slow and peek while slowed, and most likely die, or they're forced to just take the bullets that you're going to be spraying through the box of them and probably die for that too. So you can put them in a really bad situation where they're doomed either way. And that's pretty much it. The shear is pretty bad on retake. You can use it for like anti-flank, like late anti-flank. But for the most part, you're probably going to be using it on your actual setup in the round anyway. So you probably won't have it at this point anyway. And even then, it's not really that strong. But yeah, that's it for retake A. Let's go over to retake B. Once again, you can just use your ult in like a very specific position. I think the best place is actually in front of the door when the door is closed. Let me quickly check for that real quick. Like this. Yeah, it's like this is the best position because it hits everywhere in wine as well, so they can't dodge it. So yeah, just in front of the door while it's not broken is the best place to do it. Retaking A. Once again, same thing with the flashes. You want to be trying to get value with where people are with the flashes. That does include putting it in a position where it gets shot, because you'll know where the person is. So yeah, and also with the razor vines, also once again, place it in a position where you can doom people into situations where they have to peek while slowed and taking damage, or they're going to get wallbanged and spammed. You can also use it as well to like stop people from coming out of corners and then trap your teammates, like trapping this person in here. Actually, I didn't quite do a good job of it, but yeah. And you can use that to like stop people from getting kills on main from main on people going lane. Once again, you can also use the flash to find someone in main if that is also a concern. You're going to be ulting as well from this position here. Very similar to Killjoy ult because he gets everywhere in B. You can technically use flash to check backside, but you do have to be quite close. Like, look how close I have to be. I'm kind of like in the firing line of both of them, so wouldn't recommend this type of flash. I would generally just try and find flashes that get like information like backside, front sight, for instance, like one like this, right? It goes here. It's going to get info if someone's on the right side of backside, or anywhere front sight. So those type of flashes like some
Retrieving
of the best flashes you can do. So that's it for retake and defense. So we'll go over onto attack. Okay, so on attack, I'll start off with the shear. So generally, you don't want to be using this to anti-flank. It's better on post plant. So if you do have another sentinel, they should be using their util here, not you. If you are the solo sentinel, it might be better for you to use it sometimes. But for the most part, you don't have to do it every round. Like, there are some rounds where the enemy team probably won't flank. But obviously, if they are flanking a lot, then you might want to do it anyway. But yeah, for the most part, I would try and save your wall for post. The next is a lineup I want to show, which is I'm aiming at this corner here, this part of the hood. And what happens is it goes onto tree, and it stops players from running away from main into tree. And it's really, really strong to stop players, like for instance a jet, like to like sit here for instance, or sit here. They'll most likely use their dash early, and then if you like basically detonate this at the correct time, it's going to be hard for them to kind of get out and play for a post plant. They might have to run sight because the razor vines are up, and it can further trap more people in sight and get more kills on the actual execute. So yeah, I really like this razor vine because it can kind of trap people in a sight. So the next thing I want to talk about is the flashes, or the flash, sorry, because the thing with this flash is that it's really good for taking early space. So say in like this situation, I want to take early space. I'm like maybe by myself. I don't, or at least I don't have an initiator with me to like help me take the space, or a duelist. So in this situation, I'm going to be placing my flash. And the thing is, this flash specifically is actually quite good if you're against a jet specifically. If you're against something else, then you probably want to be putting the flash like on this wall somewhere, or maybe like in line with this angle, just to stop people from like dodging the flash basically. Because this flash didn't do anything if they're in this angle. But if they come out wide like this, like a jet usually would, and then she would usually dash away over here, then this flash gives her a couple of options. She can either wait out the flash, and if she gets flash, she'll dash away, or she can just like shoot the flash, and then you know that she's there. Or she will like back off, and then not get hit by this flash, right? And there's like a couple of options. Those are like the couple of options that can happen. And this flash is really strong because it allows you to kind of take this fight not for free. So it allows them to not get you for free, basically. You use util to like bait out this fight, and they don't just get the kill for free, like other sentinels might have the problem with. Like for instance, Cypher really has a problem with that sometimes. Like he has to use his cam to check. You have your flash to check. Very similar to Twitter as well with her, her turret as well. You can use your signature ability to check areas. And I think that VYSE is actually the best one because of the way it works with placing it through walls and being able to check if people are there with the flash stand, right? It's just marginally better than camera, in my opinion, by cam. Very, very marginally better in that situation specifically, anyway. So the other scenario I'm going to talk about with the flashes are executing the site on A. And basically, I treat it as like a breach and a Reyna flash combined in some ways, because this is very much like a supplement flash that I would treat Lear as, where with Lear, you can place it, you can use it either side of a flash, right? You can use it before a flash or after a flash. Another person's flash, I mean. So like a KO flash or a breach flash or something, right? The reason why is because it's really strong when the Lear either sets up for another flash because they have to shoot the Lear, and then because they're shooting the Lear, they get flashed. Or they get flashed, and then the Lear is there, and they can't really shoot the Lear fast because they've just come out of a flash, right? So it's really, really hard for the enemy team to deal with that. And I think that this flash is very similar to that, where if a flash goes off before it, you can place this, and then in that time that they're flashed, this sets itself up, and then you can flash afterwards.
Retrieving flash.
Or the other way around. You place this flash, not like that. You place flash through the wall, and in that setup time, they will shoot it. But because they've shot this flash in its setup time, another flash, say a KO flash over the wall, will flash them instead. Like, that is how I kind of treat VYSE's flash on attack. Very, very similar to Reyna's Lear in that way. Otherwise as well, very much like breach flash, where you kind of want to mix up where you're putting it on the wall, just because you don't want it to be like easily like pre-fired and waited for. So yeah, that's kind of like how I see VYSE's flash. With the razor vines, you want to be using them in positions that you expect people to play. Generally, the razor vine has a lot of pressure when the enemy team have to pass through it, because they have to move to take the damage and to make the sound, right? But otherwise, what you can do is you can force the pressure on them with like a fragment grenade from KO, right, or a Sendry from Brim or something, on the Razorvine as well. So they're slowed and taking damage from multiple mollies. It's a really, really good way to deal with people in positions such as Dice or Jen. So you can do that as well. Otherwise, they're not really exactly forced to fight or like to move, right? For instance, if I do this, this person can stay still, but they can also do this. Like, look how much movement I actually get. So I can actually fight still in the Razorvine and not make sound and not take damage. So honestly, it's not even that strong in like these situations where people are forced to stay still. You really do have to put Razorvines in places where they're pressured to move, ideally, right? So once again, like wallbanging, for instance, is a really, really good one to like force people to move out the way. That you can do as VYSE. Otherwise, you have to communicate with your teammates to molly things, the same thing that you're doing, or like other things like ults or breach, aftershock, whatever, right? With the ult as well, the ult, unfortunately, not too great on A if you do it from here. There is a position you can do it from here, though, is here. It's technically fine because you don't have to commit anything to this point. So, like, the Killjoy places, like, the little bomb down, right? And it can get shot. VYSE doesn't have that. The one problem is, though, in the time it takes for this to go off, like this point here, you may get spammed through the smoke. That's the only problem with ulting from here. So it is a bit risky, potentially, if they do spam the smoke a lot. But otherwise, this is probably the best version of this like, ult, right? Like, in the front of this smoke. So yeah, that's kind of it for taking taking A. So I'm going to talk about Retake A. So when you play Retake, one of the most fundamental important things on A in general are to play under, like hell, or to go main, or to make a play, either long flanking or going super aggressive on heaven or something. You want to be making a play or playing in these angles. You don't really want to be playing Jen, you don't really want to be playing Dice. There are some trap plays you can make from this area, one of which VYSE does actually have. So you want to place your wall. For some reason, I can't place the wall like this. You actually, I think you have to time it perfectly. I think I've done it once. But yeah, you can do it from here very easily. And you want to combine this with a flash over here. And basically what happens is the wall detonates, you flash, and you peek. Pretty simple, pretty easy. And it's like pretty effective, to be honest. Very similar to what one that Cypher can do as well. But yeah, once again, placing like flashes anywhere on this wall is good. You can even keep the one that you used for the take of the actual exec, if that happens to be one that wasn't shot. If it didn't get shot, then you can just leave it there, really. It's quite good. Razorvines are actually really strong as well because we know for a fact that they want to be moving forward into us. So stuff like this can be really, really strong. Very similar to the way you would use them on defense. One for heaven. A lot of people obviously would just like do one like this and it will get shot when it gets placed. So instead what I do is I go under, I go hell. I usually play hell a lot when I play VYSE. It just happens to be where I play a lot because I like to use my util from here. Where I go underneath this line, aim at this corner, it goes onto the box, and it actually goes up here. So it's pretty hard for them to actually shoot it because they do hear it, but they don't actually see it, so it's hard for them to kind of wallbang it, which is quite good. You can also do this through the wall, through the floor as well. It's not that effective, it's usually getting shot before it actually goes off, but once again, it can supplement maybe a KO set flash from here. That detonates just on this corner or something. Like stuff like that can happen. I've actually seen like a banger flash. I think it was Fake and Arna's. He did like a flash off the wall, off the floor, on Jen, and then he jumped on here and got electrocuted. I also liked it. Like it was actually quite good, quite cool. And you can set up things like that by placing a flash like this, because then they'll have to shoot it, and then they won't be thinking about a potential other flash hitting them. Right? So yeah, that type of stuff can be really, really useful. You can also ult from under here as well, quite convincingly, right? There's like really good areas you're going to hit. So yeah, that's kind of it for Retaking A. You can also place the shear as well. The shear is actually really strong on Retake in general, like for like stopping multiple players from coming out choke points, such as Heaven, or even over here. You can also do it for like blocking the bomb as well, which I think a lot of people have seen. One thing though, you do have to place it very, very correctly, or like very precisely, because if, for instance, if I'm standing like this as an enemy to this shear, I would not actually be detonating it right now, because I'm not directly over the line. So that you have to be directly over the line to actually detonate it like this, right? So if I'm here, I won't actually detonate it. So if I can defuse from this point, I can. So usually, a lot of the time when you see people get pushed off the bomb on shears, it's because they're not being very careful with where they're defusing. And obviously, there's time involved. So sometimes they're going to be rushing there, and it makes a lot of sense for them to be rushing there. But if they're very careful with how they defuse, they can actually not detonate the wall. So just be careful of that. Be careful where you place the wall. Next is attacking mid. And I don't really attack mid super often. But what I do, I'm doing... oh my god, I'm doing razor vines like this that hopefully land there and not where I've just placed it. The other razor vine I like to do as well is actually one like this, because if there is someone here, so say if someone does play here, then I can place it here and they're stuck in a position where if they move, they're taking damage, making sound, and I can use that sound to wallbang them. If they're not moving, then I can wallbang them in place. So it is quite a strong razor vine over here. And that's pretty much it for mid. Honestly, I don't really do too much else. A lot of your razor vines on attack are going to be anti-flooding. So they're going to be things like placing them in smoke so people can't be in the smoke and run through it. That's going to be a lot of your razor vines. On B, anti-flank, you can do it if there's no sentinel on your team, if there isn't a sentinel on your... If there is another sentinel on your team... If there is another sentinel on your team, I wouldn't recommend doing the wall. Okay, so we're going to start with the flashes. The flashes are pretty easy anywhere on the wall. Once again, same concept that I've already talked about on A with the Rainer stuff. Hopefully combine this with another flash. Razor vine wise, there is a razor vine here that you can do if you go into this corner, you crouch and you aim at the edge of this rock over here. It lands on the roof and will hit people stairs, which is quite useful. Razor vine, because it's quite a big place that people will be moving around in, so they will actually feel the pressure of the razor vine. You can also do razor vines like this as well. Go into the choke points, anti-flood, because anti-flood is really strong for the razor vines. With the shear, actually, sorry, the shear is completely useful. It's completely useless in this situation. It's just anti-flank. And with the ult, you're gonna make sure you're in this corner because it will hit everything, and that's basically it, I think, for attacking B. With the other scenario that I was talking about on A, where you can take space with it, is exactly the same on B, where you want to put it in kind of line with this, or you want to be doing it on this wall. Because if you do it on this wall, you'll know if someone's crossed. You'll know someone's crossed, right? If you do it on this wall, it'll give you the info that you've blinded someone. So yeah, you can just use this flash to kind of take space, very similar to Cypher's cam. To be honest, Cypher's cam is probably really a bit stronger in the majority of cases, actually. But it's just that this flash has other use cases that are really strong for taking places, like taking fights, in comparison to Cypher's camera, because obviously it blinds and Cypher's camera doesn't. But yeah, enough of that comparison. When you're actually going out, sorry, when you're actually in post plant, once again you can use your shear to block the bomb, for instance. You can do that as well with the shear, but you can also use it to block lane or to block people coming through stairs. So multiple people coming through the choke points will only be one instead. And you can trap them. You can basically make a trap play and take a 1v1. Really, really strong when you're in a disadvantaged situation as well. When you actually want to come and actually attack the site as well, placing a flash for the retake over here is actually quite good, because this high flash is really good for when you're back site. It will hit a lot of people, and it will be hard for the enemy team to detect in terms of range. They have to be here to detect it, so it's quite close. Razor vines as well are also quite similar to the shears, where you want to place them in positions where they'll get value, like this, right? There's no really specific ones I have, like I do on A for Under Heaven. But yeah, these ones are pretty useful. So I think that's pretty much it for the guide. I do actually have one more thing I want to show you. The ult as well, you can use from backside to sort of deter the enemies from taking you, from attacking the post plant for a while. There's actually one thing I want to show as well. It's actually a bug, I'm pretty sure, why it works. But it's actually on Retake A. So when you're not retaking A, so when you're post plant A, you can aim at this corner here, and this razor vine for some reason. Okay, for some reason. So this is the reason why I think it's a bug, is because sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But for some reason, this razor vine works, and I have no clue why it works. It's too high for it to work. It's 5 meters above the ground. And for some reason it works. In the same way that this one doesn't work. Why does this one not work if that one works? So, that is one you can technically use, right? You can technically use that one if you want to. You just go into this corner, and you aim at this corner here. It is, as you can see, inconsistent. It doesn't always go off. But it can sometimes be useful. To get info there, or to make a play on there if your teammate is maybe making a play through the window or something. It can be quite useful. So just something I wanted to show before I ended the video. I forgot to talk about it on A, and I thought it is a bug, so maybe it is best left for the end. I also want to quickly thank everyone for supporting me recently. It's been great. I'm almost at 1k, so if you can subscribe if you enjoy the content you see, subscribe if you want to see more, and like as well. Definitely much is greatly appreciated. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.